Hi friends, hope you are doing well. I'm Dr. Ganguly. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about the job of a consultant, and some of the viewers of the channel have mentioned that they are looking at consultant jobs out there, that some of the jobs they are going for, these jobs essentially require them to work as consultants. So what exactly are the type of things consultants do and how can you get these jobs? Now, of course, you know that if you are in many of the STEM disciplines, that is science, technology type of disciplines, even in business, then there are many jobs for consultants out there. So exactly what do consultants do? That's the topic of this video today. So consultants are essentially people who provide some kind of expert advice and solution to businesses and organizations to improve performance, solve problems, and to let those clients get their goals and increase their profitability. So there are actually 5 different aspects as to what a consultant does. So I'm going to go through these 5 aspects today. Now, the number one aspect has to do with figuring out what is the main problem as far as the organization is concerned. Now, to do this, you actually need to take a look at the company, the firm, or the client very carefully and look at all the processes out there. So once you start looking at this particular firm, you are going to find that there are many business challenges which are faced by this particular client. Now, these challenges are going to be the ones which are causing them problems in terms of their profitability, in terms of their productivity, maybe in terms of the safety, their labor relations, and so on. So what you need to then figure out after looking at these problems or finding these problems is that what is the root cause of this problem. And once you have found the root cause, then you come to the important second phase, which is looking for solutions. Now, one of the main reasons consultants are actually recruited is that many people, when they are working in their own company or their own firm, they actually do not know what are the different problems which are plaguing their company. Now, this is not only true for a firm out there, but people in general, including families and so on. So, of course, consultancy can be provided by all sort of people, and this can sometimes improve the situation because when a person looks at a system from outside, this person can bring a lot of distinct knowledge to the problem because they have a fresh pair of eyes which is looking at the system. Now, once you have figured out as to what is the problem which this firm faces, what are the root causes, then problem number two or the strategy number two is to give them some kind of solution. And this is the very important job which a consultant performs, is that they try to figure out some ways to solve the problem. Now, these solutions are typically in terms of strategies, in terms of tactics, in terms of recommendations, and so on. For example, it could be something like they are probably trying to do too many things. Not all these things are important to the main focus of the company, and therefore they should probably concentrate on maybe one, two, or three things at the most. So, very often, what many firms and companies do is that they waste their time in looking at a lot of different things. So, for example, a company may have 20 products and they may realize that only 4 of the products actually bring most of their profits. The remaining products are not profitable. So, in that situation, the solution here may be that you could get rid of the different products. You could get rid of them by outsourcing them, by selling those parts of the business off, and so on. So these are the kind of solutions which are recommended by the different consultants out there. For example, outsourcing the non-key functions. Sometime if they have a code written in different programming languages. So there was a situation where the company had code written in COBOL, some of the code was in Python, some of the code was in Scala. And so the solution could be to basically convert all the code to Python. This is going to help in having the same kind of developers and software programmers in the company. So essentially the consultant looks at these things and gives the solutions out there. Now the third part of the consultant jobs is to support the implementation of these solutions. And this is a very big task because very often what's going to happen is that once you suggest the solution, they are going to simply tell you as to how are you going to actually do this problem. And so it's not sufficient to just suggest the solution in terms of making a PowerPoint presentation or writing a report, but you have to actually assist the client in terms of the solution process. And this is where a lot of the domain knowledge of the consultant can come in terms of whether they are coming from an engineering background and a business background. And some of the best consultants you will see actually have both these backgrounds. So there are people who have done their bachelor's degree in some tech discipline in science, and then they have picked up a business degree later on. So these guys are very effective consultants, because once they have figured out the problem out there in terms of profitability, productivity, and so on, then they can look at different processes in the company, and then they can suggest the different improvement which can be made to the processes to actually implement the solution. Now, the fourth issue has to do with communication, because most of the people in the company are not going to like the fact that the consultant is coming from somewhere and giving them various solutions to the problem, because they are going to say that who are these guys out there, these youngsters maybe from top colleges are coming and telling us we should be doing all these changes, but we have been doing things this way for the last 10 or 20 years. So again, there is generally a resistance to change in most firms out there, and you are going to have to communicate well so that you can convert these people to your mindset. So again, what may be required here is that you make good presentations. So you will find that consultants spend a lot of time in making very nice and fancy PowerPoint presentation, because firstly they have to make this presentation and convince the top management as to what is required to be changed in the company, what are the problems, what are the solution. Then again, you have to go and convince the middle level management and even the people who are actually going to implement the change as to why the change is required. So very often humans will resist any change very strongly, and communication is the only way to actually make them change their mind. So again, not only you have to tell the things about the various theory behind the solutions you have suggested, but also provide data driven processes out there which will help those people. Finally, the fifth point has to do with continuously trying to help the client. And this is because sometimes consultants may actually just give their solutions and go off, but sometimes the consultant may keep coming back and try to see how the company is doing after the problems have been exposed, after the solutions have been given, and so on. And so this can lead to a long-term business solution possibility. It can lead to a situation where you may actually be finally working in the company and help them out. So these are certainly going to be possible. So of course you see that consultants are a very important part of the modern world out there. Any kind of business which is working in any situation can benefit from consultants, and consultants can certainly improve the productivity and profitability of the company enormously. It's not just sometimes doubling them or tripling them, they can sometimes lead to a 10 times increase in productivity, and that is why consultants very frequently command high salaries and high deal of money or large amounts of money in many cases.